Hello everyone, Ted from Immersion here, and there is some new updates or more information provided since the last update I did on Theros, so I thought I would just dive into it. No intro here, let's just run what we got. So, if you're unfamiliar with the idea of Dragon Plus, if you ever heard or have read of Dragon Magazine, one of the two kind of articles put out by TSR, and then later on Wizards of the Coast, there was Dungeon and Dragon Magazine. They sort of did away with both of those, and there now is a digital zine called the Dragon Plus, which they release once a month. And I used to do reviews of them every month, and I just kind of fell out of that. Maybe I'll bring it back if people are interested. But there was an article in the one that was released yesterday, along with the announcement of official announcement of Mythic Odysseys of Theros, where you can see right here the two covers side by side. But it actually gives us more information above and beyond what we got in both the Amazon article and the Wizards article. So let's take a look. So there's a little bit. I want to dive more into the hard facts, but I'll just take a look through here. So this is inspired by Greek mythology and is a place shaped by deities where legends walk the lands. Oh, another thing I do want to say, and I've acknowledged it many times, I know nothing about Magic the Gathering, so I'm sorry if my lack of knowledge of Magic impacts the way I'm reviewing this, but I'm reviewing this as Dungeons and Dragons fan who's getting new Dungeons and Dragons material. It'd be the same thing where if you're a Magic fan and I'm reviewing Dragonlance, or if I'm a Magic fan or you're a Magic fan and I'm reviewing Planescape or Spelljammer and you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the same thing but in reverse. I'm a Dungeons and Dragons fan with no knowledge of Magic, so I can't give the Magic fans background on this world because I just don't know it. So, from temples of omen-speaking oracles to the five realms of the underworld, the champions of the gods vie for immortal favor and place among the world's living myths. Having worked as part of the D&D team for 14 years before moving to Magic the Gathering team a couple years ago, James Wyatt was the perfect choice to head up Theros Inclusion in 5th edition. He had his experience turning real-life myths into fantasy material appropriate for gaming tables began long before that. So he actually worked on Deities and Demigods, which is actually one of my favorite books from 3.5. So if I think this will take me to it. Yeah. So this was a book for 3.5 that just had like all gods in it. So it had obviously all of the D&D deities, if you will. Right, like, and again, this was primarily Greyhawk deities. So you had like Pelor and Obad High and things like that. But it also had Athena and Zeus, and then you had Osiris and Set and Thor and Odin. It had all different deities in it, so it's a very cool book. Anyway, I really embraced the challenge of shaping these historical pantheons to the fantasy world by making the Greek goddess Tyche a halfling, for example. This is a great lesson on how to take historical mythology and translate it through a lens into a fantasy setting. The process of world building for D&D and Magic the Gathering is both similar and different. The Magic creative team builds an extensive guide for each world to give artists and writers enough detail to work with. Creating a D&D sourcebook for that same world means taking that and giving it a little more depth. In many ways, creating a world in Magic is like building an elaborate movie set, where it's important to be able to look at a card and feel like there's a rich world behind it, whereas in D&D, you need maps. All right, historical, here's it now. Here's the cover art, the full cover for the regular cover art. Again, like I was making concepts about how it looks like there's a Hydra. Now, you guys who are Magic fans have told me in the comments that this is a specific character from Magic the Gathering. Let's go back. In order to accurately recreate the geography of Theros, Wyatt employed his skills that would be recognized by historians all over the world. He spent a considerable amount of time researching the novella that was released alongside a previous set of Theros-based Magic cards. Oh, okay, so there's a book, so that's cool. I might actually read that to give me an idea about what I'm talking about. That was probably the biggest challenge, pulling together all the geographical information I could find in order to create a coherent map that would not be easily contradicted by the fiction. It's difficult when there's no satellite image of the landscape to look at, because people in diaries and fiction don't necessarily say, we walked 350 miles northwest. Instead, they'll say, 2 weeks later, we arrived here. You then have to make certain estimates about travel time and terrain. It's likely an army moves slower than individuals hurrying on horseback. Although much of the hard work of turning Greek myths into fantasy gameplay had already been carried out, Wyatt returned to the original stories to properly capture them from a D&D perspective. He wanted to depict Greek society as it would have been in those days, and even the religious festivals he invented took lead from their world. So that's cool. We're going to get that kind of level of world building, which is good. I researched a number of things to flesh out the depiction of the city-states. For example, I read a lot of historical government structures in Athens. I also researched the ancient Greek calendar, which was a lot of fun because it's lunar. The calendar was 12 months most years, but adds a 13th month to bring everything into alignment with the sun. They also named all of the months after holidays, so we found ourselves inventing holidays as we went along. Most fantasy writers have a tendency to tie holidays to the sun, but if a sun god's festival is held on the summer solstice, that might appear in different months in different years. Oh, and then here's where I wanted to really get to. One of the new subclasses that will feature in this book is the College of Eloquence Bard, which we did get from an earlier Unearthed Arcana, which takes its lead from Greek society. The College of Eloquence Bard is our way of trying to include the philosopher ideal, which is an interesting take on that. He says, revealing that the Oath of Heroism Paladin from the same Unearthed Arcana will also be featured alongside the Forge and Grave Cleric domains, so that the deities of Perforos, Erebos, and Athreos offer good playable options. So let's just see. It doesn't tell us when this was released. I thought we could maybe figure it out. But it was definitely last year, as I stated in an earlier video, that the heroic, this was 2019. So my point why I wanted to bring up was when this was released was it means that, the reason they take so long to put this stuff in a book is because you need to get viable and useful playtest information back on the subclass. So if you don't have that information and you can't alter it or update it, my real question will be, are they just going to do a straight reprint of the Forge Cleric and the Grave Cleric? Because remember, when they reprinted some of the subclasses in Xanathar's Guide that came from the Sword Coast Adventures Guide, some received minor tweaks in the wording. Nothing major, but there were some reprints. So I'm wondering, some changes in the reprints, rather. So I wonder if the Forge and Grave Cleric will receive any updates when they're reprinted in Theros. So here's the other thing. Part of the reason why they're probably doing reprints is my assumption would be for organized play purposes. So, like, if I'm going to be playing, in Theros, I might be able to use the Player's Handbook in Theros, or Theros +1 if you're doing Adventurers League, something like that. So having more options contained in the same book means you can get more out of it. Like, you can use, if there are new spells in this book, or you want to use the new race and a new class, you don't have to waste your, choose 2 books. You don't have to be a satyr and then use Xanathars to get the Forge Cleric, you know what I mean? I'm not sure if that's the best example, but maybe I'm just wrong. But that would be the only reason I think you'd reprint things that were released in a more recent book. My thought, they also reprinted stuff from Xanathar, or from Sword Coast Adventure Guide and Xanathars, is because everybody forgets that the Sword Coast Adventures Guide really exists. They kind of like brush that book under the rug and focus on all the new stuff. So the way it's worded here, and people have been really picking apart the wording, there could be other subclasses. Now, all of the official documents say they list the College of Eloquence Bard, and they list the Oath of Heroism Paladin. So we know those 2 are definitely going to be in it. This is definitely telling us Forge and Grave Cleric are going to be in it. So that's 4 subclasses, 2 of which are new. My only thing is, the ones that in Ravnica, we only got 2 subclasses, and the Brute Fighter was released alongside those other classes, and they said they wanted to put it in there, but it didn't make it. And what I also wanted to say is we're not getting it doesn't seem like we're getting any new subclasses that are out of left field that we haven't seen before. Anything that has happened, we've gotten a new subclass in a book, it's because we've seen it in Unearthed Arcana first. So it's not like we're going to get, at least my interpretation is, we're not going to get a random subclass that comes out of left field that we've never heard of, because they haven't really been doing that. You know what I mean? Like, make up a, like, we're going to get these 4 subclasses and then something wholly we've never seen before, brand new thing that they made up. It doesn't seem like they're going that way, which is fine. I mean, maybe they'll surprise us and put brand new stuff we've never seen in this book. But at this point, it's March, and this book is launching in June. I don't think they have enough time to do significant playtests if they're going to release a new Unearthed Arcana to put in this book. So I'm assuming we're not going to get anything beyond those 4 classes. Maybe more reprints, but I don't think we're going to get anything new subclass-wise. All right, and here's the really sweet-looking limited edition cover. Alright, Divine Smite. Anyone who's played Magic the Gathering using Theros cards will have experienced the devotion mechanic, where gods become powerful creatures once you have enough of their colors in play. Wyatt and his team wanted to recreate that feel in the Mystic Odyssey of Theros. Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. We took the system of renown from the DMG and blew it up into a huge thing. Our Theros sourcebook does the same thing with the Piety system from the DMG, and has a nice echo of the devotion mechanic in the Theros card sets. I guess I'll be doing a video on the Piety rules as well. That includes all sorts of rewards and restrictions for characters who choose to devote themselves to a god and track their piety. The gods also make themselves felt with new magic items. These artifacts and weapons of the gods, as seen on the cards in the first Magic the Gathering Theros block. The deities also play further roles in character creation, affecting a character from the moment of their birth. This includes bestowing supernatural gifts upon them, as well as supplying portentous omens that may tie into their fate. So here it says artifacts and weapons. The official stuff had said only weapons. So my point is, this may be like things like winged boots, like replicating a Hermes type thing. And I've seen someone posted in my Discord all of the different weapons and magical artifacts of the different deities. I don't have them in front of me, but that may be probably what they're talking about. And again, here it does say you choose a supernatural gift from birth, so it does seem like it's going to impact your character creation from the start. Everyone gets this extra leg up that is a gift of the gods, which is separate from the usual character creation. Maybe a magical thing about your nature, such as you have the mind of the Sphinx and your thoughts can't be read. Or you might be an oracle, which is an opportunity for the DM to give you plenty of adventure hooks. It's a straight power-up, but not a huge power-up. I also might enjoy making tables a little bit too much. The book includes a table of omens with 100 entries on it. You can either roll a d100 to generate an omen at random, or you can choose a god and either roll a d6 or a d8 to get an omen specifically associated with them. We encourage players to roll on the table to generate an omen that was present at their birth. Alright. Your Bard. A new region also provides new races for the players to choose from. Theros will be thick with Minotaurs and Centaurs, so it looks like they're just reprinting the ones from Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, and Merfolk, using Tritons from Volo's Guide to Monsters. So again, it seems like they're just going to call them Merfolk and just reuse the exact rules from the Tritons from Volo's Guide, which is a strange way to do it, but alright. Alongside the Satyr and the Leonid. The Leonid is a different, stronger cat person, not just a tabaxi. Which again makes it seem like it's just going to be a strength-based version of a cat person. And the Satyr is also brand new. Satyrs are pretty much as you would expect. They're party animals with good dexterity and charisma. They have a headbutt attack. They're fast. They're fey. They resist magic and have the musical instrument proficiency and persuasion. I'm hoping we're going to see a lot of Satyr bards. So, we already know it's going to have dex and charisma, so probably +2 dex, +1 charisma, or maybe the other way around. A headbutt attack. They're fast, might mean they have additional movement speed, maybe 40 foot's their base. They're fey, so that probably means fey ancestry, immunity to magical sleep, and advantage on saving throws versus charms. It says they resist magic, so could this be just a regular magic resistance where they have advantage on saving throws against magic and magical or spells and magical effects? And then a musical instrument proficiency and proficiency in persuasion. I mean, maybe we'll get more than that. I don't know. He also mined the Theros card set to find interesting creatures to bring into the setting. With many of the creatures in the D&D Monster Manual already owing their roots to Greek myth, that's a fairly long list. In some cases, it meant providing different lore about a D&D creature based on its roots in the new setting. In other cases, it only took minor gameplay tweaks to distinguish the creature, such as a Hydra, there we go, like I mentioned in earlier videos, works in Theros, and then there were the mythic threats. The idea behind the mythic threats is the boss fight in a computer game. This kind of boss is going to be the centerpiece of a combat encounter that goes on longer than a couple of rounds. Their abilities will be beyond what a legendary creature does. That is very interesting. Beyond what a legendary creature does. So a legendary creature, right, has legendary actions, legendary resistance, and typically lair actions, depending on the scenario. So this is going to go above and beyond that. This is a potentially brand new mechanic we've never seen before, and I'm very excited for that. One of them is a Rasta of the Endless Web, which is a horrible spider monster from the latest Theros MTG set. After you've been fighting her for a while, all the little baby spiders that are clinging to her abdomen come off and start fighting you as well. You have to deal with them before you can finish the job, so it's like 2 encounters in one. That sounds great. Artistic Vision. Similar to the Ravnica source book, the Mystic Odyssey of Theros also includes a short sample scenario in the chapter on starting an adventure. DMs looking to craft a wider campaign would then have zillions of tables, zillions even, to help them generate their story ideas. This being D&D, there are also plenty of maps, including some that are linked with each god to serve adventure sites, no matter which deity the party focuses on. I love the work that Dice and Logos does in making these maps that you can just drop in and populate however you want. For me, that's the hardest part of coming up with an adventure, so having a stockpile of maps is awesome. For example, there's a map of Atheros, the Temple of Atheros, in 2 parts, split by the river that flows between the mortal world and the underworld. I've already used that map in a home campaign in a completely different setting, as my characters boarded a ship to be ferried across the Astral Sea to the other side of the temple. It was amazing. That same objective could be used when describing the rich source of art Wyatt's team had access to. Drawing from the 4 sets of Magic the Gathering cards based in Theros gave them more than 1,200 potential pieces of art to choose from. It's such a gift to be able to work on something with such a huge pool of high-quality art as a starting point. This amazing detailed art is only usually seen on small cards, so getting to see it blown up as a full-page illustration is incredible. We're creating a cover and alternate cover, both using a figure fighting a Hydra. Each chapter within the book will also will open with a new illustration. Will you clash with the Gods of Theros, this campaign sourcebook, or the world's greatest role-playing game? Will destiny and the schemes of the immortals lead you to the glory of the grave? And what tales will you leave behind, celebrated in the pantheon of myths, possibly written by a man wearing a Theros or Bust t-shirt? Released on June 2nd, 2020, MSRP $49.95. There you go. So that's it, folks. That's the full Dragon Plus article read through for you, and with a little bit of discussion from me. It's interesting. I'm not super keen on the concept of reprints. I get why you got to do it, but I'd like to see more new stuff. It's also interesting that we are getting... I mean, I remember I made that point a little while ago about how we've only ever seen stuff that wasn't Unearthed Arcana put into a published book. Well, we didn't see that when it came to the races, right? So we didn't see a Satyr or a Leonin race given to us in an Unearthed Arcana, and they're going to be in that book. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and March isn't too early, and we'll get a playtest version of those maybe today or next week. They get a little bit of feedback before they're published officially in the book in June, but I don't think we got all of the Ravnica races either. I don't think we got like Simic Hybrid and Vidalkin in playtest format. So there may still be some hidden subclasses out there. I know a lot of people are hoping for more. They were hoping for the Druid of the Stars they thought would really fit. Again, I think it's too soon for that to be included in a playtest unless they're already set on including it. If that's the case, why include it in playtests? Because you're not going to get any feedback to alter it. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What are you most excited about from Theros? Do you think there's going to be more beyond the subclasses and races we've seen or heard in this article? I'm curious what your thoughts are. Again, if you haven't taken a chance to subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell, all that good stuff, please be sure to do so. And I'll see you guys next time.